If you stepped outside your backyard tonight and looked straight up, you might not recognize it for what we saw in winter. We did a winter episode a while ago and talked about Orion and the belt and everything else. But all of that is now hidden below the horizon until winter comes back again. But in its place is a completely different set of characters. We have a swan that flies down a river of stars, a scorpion with a glowing heart of red, and a teapot that is pointing towards the center of our entire galaxy. It's the same backyard we look out of. I go in my backyard and see the same thing. It's completely different sky. So let's go find out more about it. A quick reminder about, from the reminder of the Orion episode is because the same mechanics are in place here, except it's working in reverse. We're not moving through the stars, obviously. We are orbiting a sun. And depending on where the Earth is in that orbit, we see a different slice of the night sky. We look in one direction and we see Orion. And then 6 months later, we swung around to the other side of the sun and we're facing a completely different direction. And that's tonight's sky. At this time of year, the direction that we happen to be facing is towards a crowded, glowing center of the Milky Way itself. And that's the headline of the whole summer sky right there. We'll come back to it here in just a minute. Just like Orion's belt was your start here moment when we were talking about winter, summer has that too, and it's an even easier one to find. It's called the summer triangle. And so if you look up at a night sky, you'll spot 3 bright stars that are wide apart but forming a big triangle overhead, and each of them belongs to a different constellation. Vega is the brightest of the 3. It's a blue-white, almost too bright to be real. It's a very bright star, part of Lyra, the harp constellation. Then there's Deneb, and it's a dimmer but still pretty bold, and it marks the tail of Cygnus the swan, which you actually see as a cross shape flying through the triangle, sometimes called the Northern Cross. And then there's Altair. The third point is part of Aquila, the eagle. So if you find those 3 stars and you connect them in your head, you have the whole kind of summer compass right there. And everything else branches off from that. So now if you look south towards the horizon, you probably might have to get away from some trees and some buildings for this one. But it's part of the night sky that makes me wanted to do this episode the most in the first place, because it's genuinely rare. A constellation that actually looks very close to what it's named after. I think all the constellations kind of do. I get a good imagination. But Scorpius curls across the southern sky with a real hook in its tail. And right at the heart is a red giant called Antares. It is a visibly glowing red-orange star, even to the naked eye. And the reason it's called Antares is interesting because sometimes, keep in mind the distance in place, right? Mars is close to us. The stars are very, very far away from us. But the way that the Mars rises and sets in our horizon, it sometimes looks like, I was told by these astronomers, that Mars is fighting this star. And so it's anti-Aries. It's against Aries, another red star fighting the red planet. And so to, I guess, a more ancient eye, they would sort of see this as some kind of a great battle. But right next to a door is Sagittarius, and its shape looks like a teapot. And the payoff here is that we talked about in segment 1. That teapot is almost pointing to the exact center of our galaxy. When you look towards Sagittarius on a clear night, you are looking right through downtown Milky Way. And that's really incredible. If you see the big difference, I think, between the winter sky and the summer sky, it's worth going out of town at least once this season, getting to a truly dark place. Now, like I said, I go out in the cornfield, and that's where I do most of my aurora viewing and everything else. But I'll tell you, it's not dark. Where I went camping this summer is true dark. The stars were so bright, they looked like gems in the sky. It was really the most incredible thing. And so if you can, get someplace, maybe even go camping so that you can spend some nights looking at it in a place that has true darkness. It's just a stunning view. But if you can go out into pretty good darkness, like I said, in the winter, we look out and we're facing the outer edge of the galaxy. We're, the end bands. But in the summer, we're faced right towards the crowded core. And if you could get someplace truly dark with no streetlights, no porch lights, and no road lights at all, the Milky Way isn't a faint smudge. It is a wide band running right through Cygnus and down towards Scorpius and Sagittarius that's thick with stars. You might see people who actually have the materials and the darkness to take pictures of it, and you can find them on YouTube and you can find them on the internet, and it's an incredible thing to see. But one thing to know intellectually is it's completely a different thing to stand in a dark field and see it stretched overhead. If you've never done it, put that on your list to do this summer. And there's two more landmarks, a quick one and then one that will get you outside. There's Botes and Arcturus, and I hope I'm saying they're right, but there's an old star hopping trick that you follow the curve or the arc of the Big Dipper's handle, and it leads you straight to a bright orange star called Arcturus. And Arcturus is the brightest star in the northern sky. The arc to Arcturus is the phrase to remember. Then Hercules overhead is shaped like a lopsided box, and you'll notice it. It's pretty visible to see. If you get a pair of binoculars, you can actually look through. There's a fuzzy little smudge inside of it, and that's the M13 cluster of stars. There's hundreds of thousands of stars packed densely together, and it's so far away. Like I said, when you look at it in binoculars, it just sort of looks like a soft glow. But it's worth taking a few minutes to find if you can. Now, if you've been listening to this anywhere close to when it's coming out, you can mark your calendars for the night of August 12th and August 13th of 2026. That is the peak Perseid meteor shower. And this year, the timing is about as good as it gets. The moon will be new at night, meaning there's no moonlight at all washing out the sky. And under these dark conditions, you could see 50 to 100 meteors per hour streaking out in every direction from the Perseus constellation in the northeast. But you don't need a telescope. You just need to find the area Perseus is at. And there's a lot of good apps. There's Stellarium. There's Night Sky. There's a couple of really great apps that you can get. And what's nice about them is that when you do get them, you just hold them up and then you shift positions. And when you look at it in different directions, it will show you which stars you would see if you looked right behind your phone. So it gives you a live view, and then you can find exactly where Perseus is at. But just get away from the lights. Look generally up to the northeast of the sky after midnight and give your eyes a little bit time to adjust. It takes about 20 minutes to fully adjust from all the lights we have. And it's one of the easiest wow nights in the whole sky that we can offer. It's going to be a spectacular Perseids this year. So here's your assignment, is just step out on one clear night, maybe this week, and look straight up and find the summer triangle. That's it, those 3 stars that we talked about. And once you're there, you can start branching out from there and looking at other big markers in the night sky. Everyone, thanks so much. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you get out there and see in the night sky. I know that it can feel... I know I get that way too. There's going to be an aurora, there's going to be this event and that event, and you say, oh gosh, I'm in my jammies. Do I really want to get dressed again and go outside and go find true night? But it's absolutely worth it. The steps that I've taken in order to do this is I go out during daylight and I go find a place that looks promising. It has no lights around it. There's maybe very sparse few farms that are in every direction. And I have a clear shot, in various directions. There's not trees surrounding me in every side. So I've gone out and scouted them during the day. So I know exactly where I want to go when I get to nighttime. That would be a potentially great place to go look at stars. Takes a little bit of work, but it's absolutely worth doing. And again, if you can go out camping in a campground that is true night, for me, that's going way up into the North Woods. I go up into Minnesota. There's a place called Whitewater State Park that is true night. There's some places in Upper Peninsula, Michigan. It's worth the effort to do it, at least once in your life, to go out there and see what real night sky looks like without any light at all. Thanks so much. You can find everything I do at jillfromthenorthwoods.com.